but I'll let you know.
Okay.
Hey, this is Troy Taylor with the Championship Football Coaches Clinic podcast, sponsored by First Down Playbook, Rack Coach, Tip of the Spear, The Top Hopper, Sports Workbook, and Next Pick. Coach George Smith, the GOAT. Mike Spencer, his former player. Mike texted me this morning, and now I got Coach Smith. Coach Smith, how are you doing today? And can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Coach, for the people that don't know?
Well, I grew up in Indiana, and a lot of personal things happened. My father died, and so many things. So I ended up at St. Thomas, hired, and what the hell? When I'm trying to think that. So I was 23 years old.
Wow.
And I think that was 17 or 18. I don't remember what those years are, Troy.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, so I came in there. I started the wrestling program, and I taught PE. And then in 1975, I was hired as the football coach.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went down the road with it.
So you actually have a wrestling background, Coach. Talk a little bit about that and having a background in wrestling and being so successful in football.
Well, I was a football guy, and we didn't have wrestling in the high school. And,
oh, wow.
I went to Butler University
mm-hmm.
in Indianapolis, and I got hurt. Brain situation. So I transferred back to Purdue, and I wrestled with the coaches there. I was not eligible. But, I mean, once I go back to the Florida thing, that's really helped me.
Yes, sir.
And so
we have a comment, Coach, and this is from Dane James, whose dad was Mark James, the head coach at Dillard and the head coach at Boyd Anderson. And he says, wow, you got George Smith on live. Tell him I said hi. So Dane James.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, yeah, Coach Mark James hired me for my first college job, and that's when I fell in love with Fort Lauderdale, Coach. Steve Cisneros, Cisneros says, awesome, man. I don't know if you know Steve, Coach, but people can come. Yeah.
Yep.
So people can comment and put little things up here, and they're so excited you're on, Coach. So you became the head football coach at St. Thomas Aquinas, and I know that is where Brian Piccolo played, and I loved Brian Piccolo. So can you talk a little bit about Brian Piccolo, Coach?
Well, I was not obviously down there at that time.
Mm-hmm.
There was a picture of Brian and Bill Zlock and a guy named Dan Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the same class. And Bill Zlock became a federal judge, and Dan Arnold became one of the repairing dentists in the city of Fort Lauderdale. Those three guys graduated together.
Yes, sir. And so I met Mike Spencer that played for you at St. Thomas, and he also was the head coach in between your two stints there as the head coach. But he told me that you built that program by getting kids into school. And I kind of added that to my mission statement that 1, I want to change lives. 2, I want to help get kids to the next level, whatever that means, Coach, you know, D1, D2, trade school, military, and build champions for life. So Michael Irvin, I mean, was he getting Michael Irvin? Did that change the Aquinas football program forever? You know, talk about that, Coach.
Well, I have to go back
mm-hmm.
And '75, we decide that we were going to say and print a program.
Mm.
You know, it was with all the pictures, and I would write a little snippet about each one of them. And so, before the '75 season, I printed 700 of those booklets
Mm.
and sent them out. It only said head coach at whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And we got back probably over 400 responses.
Wow.
And that came back to our mailing deal. So we would send them out, and we had a little paper with those guys, and I would check off if they could play at the thing, Cookman, or could they play at Miami?
Mm-hmm.
And we sent it all over the countries, obviously. So in '95, we had sent kids to Valley City State, which you don't know probably, but it's in North Dakota. Wisconsin Right Waters, before it was great. River Falls, Bismarck Junior College. They went to all these places.
Mm-hmm.
And then in '76, Bill Farrell recruited and went to LSU. Steve Reich went to Kentucky. And then what we decided to do all the American football coaches.
The convention.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Coach.
So we would back then, those were cans, 16 millimeters. So we would pack 2 of those big projectors and send to the hotel we were staying. And we had 2 rooms. We had beers and sandwiches. And it was an invite to any coaches to come watch these films.
Wow.
And so we figured out that these hotels, we figured out in San Francisco, I just happened to go in and we were out late, and here's the breakfast set up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything's set up, the silverware and all that shit. So I went to the concierge and I said, can you have someone to bring up and print what I want to put on this? So this is like, I don't know, shit, probably 10 o'clock at night. He goes, yeah. I said, how many you want? I said, give him 500 of them. And it said St. Thomas Aquinas football films room, whatever it was, and free beer and whatever.
Man.
So what we did, we got up. I did not even go to sleep. So we went to the dining room at about 5 o'clock. There's nobody there, but everything was set up. So what we did, we put on a plate that invite, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But we put the napkins and the silverware on top of that, which figured that if they're going to eat, they got to take that stuff off, and there's the invite.
Mm.
So,
I mean, and that was in '75, Coach?
That was 77.
Okay, so in 77, you started going to the AFCA convention, and you basically started the St. Thomas room where you would show the films and coaches would come in. And I mean, it was 16 millimeter. There wasn't even VHS tapes. But you, Coach, I've never met you in person, but Mike Spencer told me all about you, Coach. And Coach, you changed the world. I mean, you changed the game because of this. You saw it as a way to market your program, to help your kids. And today, everybody is trying to be like you, but you were doing it in 1977 when there was no internet and there was no huddle. So imagine what you would do today if you would have Twitter and Instagram and all these things, Coach, and you were a young coach. You would be using all that and more, you know?
But, Troy, here's the thing. Our coach now is Roger Harriet.
Mm-hmm.
He played for me.
Mm-hmm.
And he is a wizard with that stuff. And you know what's going on right now about what we did back there. And I'll tell you another thing. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I cannot remember that year was. I want to say 81.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to head coaches. Well, anyway, so Charlie McClendon was the director of the FACA.
Yes, sir.
FACA, right? So it's about noon, and they had the first meeting, and Dennis Erickson, some of those guys, they were characters. So in that meeting, and I believe that was in Atlanta, I believe, and McClendon called me out and said, "This is illegal. You cannot go to the St. Thomas film room." And he was right. He was right. So it's about 2:00 in the afternoon on that Saturday. And here come all these guys, the big guys.
Who are we talking about, Coach? We're talking about the big names, right?
Oh, absolutely. God, I mean, I can't remember some of those guys. It wasn't Bear Bryant, but Erickson and all these East Coast guys,
mm-hmm.
John L. Smith, those dudes.
Yes, sir.
And so they're sitting out in the hallway, like 80 guys. They can't come into the room. So it was hilarious.
Oh, so they just sat out in the hallway because it was illegal to come in the room.
Yes,
man,
because they couldn't watch film, so we couldn't put the film on.
Man, so Coach, I mean, you do that from 1977 until, I mean, they're probably still the St. Thomas room today.
No, because Troy, it doesn't make any difference now.
Yeah.
They have all that. They don't. The situation that we had, and this changed in probably 96, 98, 99, something like that. But we had a total deal of meeting people and liking each other, but now I stopped it about 3 years ago because what we found out that a lot of these young coaches that hooked us with us, and they'd hang out with on the convention with the film room, which we had, but they were looking for jobs. They were helping us to help them. And Roger, I just said, hey, no.
Because it's all about the kids. You were all about the kids.
Absolutely. It wasn't that anymore.
Yeah, it was just basically a place for them to BS and hang out and try to get a new job. Look at whose logo. You know, that's what Mike Spencer told me about you, Coach. He said, Troy, Coach Smith knows everybody. And he said, even though you never coached at Alabama or Florida State, everybody knows you. And he said that you were so powerful, Coach. I mean, your voice was so strong with the college coaches. You know, I mean, it's true. So, like, what year did Michael Irvin come to Aquinas, Coach?
Wait a second now. He graduated in 82.
Yeah. So, I mean,
well, we have to go back to summer.
Yes.
On that. So the basketball coach who played for me, he said, Smitty, we got to look at this guy. He wants to come to St. Thomas. And they were playing in the summer league.
Mm-hmm.
And that was Michael. So I didn't say anything. And I said, hey, Mikey, how are you? I'm Coach Smith. He just went his business. So he was at Piper High School.
Mm-hmm.
And he was suspended because a woman said he followed her into the bathroom. Well, the girl and the parent said that's not even close. So Mike was done, no problem. So he transfers to our place when he was a junior in 80. And Waller was his dad. And I remember we're in workouts for football, and I had brought my German Shepherd. It was the biggest sisser.
Yeah.
So we're in the coach's office, knock on the door, and it's Mike's dad and him. So I didn't even think about that. The dog's asleep. And so they come in. The name of the dog was Bear.
Yeah, Bear.
So wherever pops up, it's a female.
Yeah.
So Mike goes out the door. So they came back in, and Walter wanted to transfer to him to our place. But back then, you cannot transfer from public school to private school unless the principal signs a waiver.
Yes, sir.
Well, I can still, I'm not going to get his name. Anyway, so he won't receive. So Mike comes in at St. Thomas as a junior, never played a down of football.
Wow.
Never played a bounce of a basketball. Never ran track.
Wow. He sat out for a whole year.
Absolutely. So we get all this stuff done, and he's going to be eligible. So the dad got real sick. And I went to Broward General. And I said, Mr. Irvin, what do you want me to do? And he's almost dying by this. And he said, Coach, just take care of Michael.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, he was dead.
Man.
So Michael disappeared.
Mm.
So we found him about 2 days later
Mm-hmm.
in a park up here. Brought him back, and he was academically super. This, that, whatever. And he played. He was first All-State.
Mm-hmm.
First All-State in basketball and football. And won state championship.
Mm-hmm.
What do you know what the end was? What was the end that he won? What is that?
Michael Irvin?
Yeah.
State
track.
What did he run the 100 in?
Shot put.
Wow. And that's explosiveness right there. And strength.
Yep.
I never knew that, Coach. Have you ever told that story before? I know you've told it to people, but I mean, has it ever been documented, about his dad dying and then him going missing for 2 days? I mean, you really.
I don't want to get into that.
Yeah.
That's personally with Mike and me, and
yeah,
just
an amazing story, Coach. So you pretty much have lived by change kids' lives, help get them to the next level, and build champions for life. So my friend Mike Spencer, at the time, he had only been the only player from Aquinas to go to Alabama, and he was recruited by Bruce Arians to. Yeah, Coach, you know more than me. So talk about that story, Coach.
Well, no, okay. So Bear Bryant, he comes in a plane.
Mm-hmm.
And flies with the police guy. So he wants to see John Congemi.
Yeah.
Mike Spencer and Pat Moons. So we're in the library. And there's the policeman that was always with him and the pilot. We're in this social type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
So here are the great kids. And Coach Bryant goes, Mr. Pilot, tell what happened. And we're going, okay. And he goes, we went up here and it went down. And that was it. That was his story. I said, we're like, oh, what? Yeah. So, but it ended up that Mike went to Alabama. And Jimmy went to Pittsburgh and beat a lot of Marino's road deal.
Mm-hmm.
And Pat Moons was the kicker of Michigan.
Wow.
Those three guys.
What was the story about Mike with the pair of pliers, Coach? I mean, that's toughness.
The what?
When Mike Spencer had the pair of pliers that you were telling me about a month ago, when he was in the locker room and he had a pin in his wrist or somewhere in his arm.
Thumb.
In his thumb. He had a pin in his thumb.
Yeah, and it came right out the big knuckle. So I couldn't find him, and he was in. Now this is when for our facilities was horse shit. I mean horse shit. So I go in there. He's got the pliers. I said, Mike, what are you doing? Nothing. I said, what are you doing? My thumb's fine. I said, what are you doing with that? He goes, I'm going to make it best. And he's trying to pull this peg. And you can imagine, look at your thumb, the big knuckle.
Yes, sir.
Wrist,
yes, sir.
That's where it was.
Wow.
And he got it out. He's fucking played. He's an idiot.
He's a goat. He's a goat, ain't he, Coach?
Oh, absolutely.
Mike Spencer is a goat. Yeah. Man, my friend. He called me 360. He said I was 360 football. 360 degrees, football all the time.
No. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
He will craze you upside down.
Wow.
Have you met his wife?
No, I never have, Coach, because he was already divorced by the time I met him. But I heard she was a whiz. He talked about her all the time.
Oh, yeah. Okay. But the new girl, he met her in rehab. Okay?
Yeah.
And she is a hot shit, just like him.
Yeah, Coach. Coach, out of all the college coaches, like I'm a big Jimmy Johnson fan. So Jimmy Johnson got Michael Irvin to go to the University of Miami. Then he drafted him with the Cowboys. What assistant coach recruited Michael Irvin, or was it Jimmy Johnson? What do you have to say about Coach Johnson?
You got to go back. Jimmy Johnson did not draft Michael.
He didn't. So he was already there when he took the Cowboys job.
Yeah, that's
so it was all before. So it was almost Tom Landry. It was almost fate then. That
yes, that's true. Yep.
So what can you tell me about Coach Jimmy Johnson, Coach? What was so great about him?
Well, he was we had some bump ups, me and him.
Yeah, you don't want to get George Smith on your bad side, Coach. Because, I mean...
No. We just had some upside downs. And that became no deal. You know, it was about some other players. And I think that one of my former players, they had a bar down in Key West in a hotel. And I think Jimmy's a great guy. And I think now, if you look at the characters in this league, Jimmy Johnson should be brought in because he's actually very, truthful. I don't know all these guys, if they are.
If they're truthful?
I'm sorry?
You don't know that if they're truthful?
I don't even know if you go to high school thing, right?
Yes, sir.
In college, I don't know. This NLIL.
Yes, sir.
Whatever that shit is. Who gets that? Who's that? Who is this? I am not there anymore. I have been in the recruiting situation as a consultant with Coach Harriet. I don't know, Troy. I would be very skeptical. I just saw about prime time. It was today. Travis, is that their
Travis Hunter from Collins Hill High School in Georgia.
Yeah. So now it's on the internet. He is going to name how many coaches gave huge for Travis to leave Colorado.
Wow. So Primetime's coming out with this information right now.
About an hour ago.
And he's named names and he's given dollar amounts. And
yeah, you'll probably see the money. He won't probably cover his ass.
Yeah. But, I mean, Coach, there's always been money involved, right? I mean, it was maybe illegal before. I guess it's legal now, or there's no rules. I don't know. So,
being honest, I never, ever, as a head coach, I never said anybody was And I got out of there after the 2010 season.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew anything about money.
Mm-hmm.
Zero.
Yeah. You didn't need to know. I mean, you could be fired from your job. You could get into trouble. I mean, if that was something that a coach chose to do, I mean, they didn't make you aware of that.
No. Our players would have told us about that.
Mm-hmm.
There ain't one kid in those last years before this started.
Mm-hmm.
There's not one kid took a bribe that we would not have known about.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that 100%.
Yes, sir. So there's always there's a coach that I know. He took a job 2 years ago at a school, and he told me, he said, Troy, this school that I'm at, I can't relate to the kids. They can't relate to me. You know, they say, you know, coach, you don't look like me. You don't talk like me. You're trying to change me. I mean, so what's your secret, Coach Smith, of being able to relate to these kids from all these different walks of life that might not be able, you know, to look like you or be where you're from? I mean, you're from the Midwest. So, I mean, pretty much all great coaches share that same quality of being genuine. Talk a little bit about that.
I will tell you about that. Coach Harriet played for me. He knows me. Coach Russell knows me. I know them. Our kids they're supposed to do this. They're supposed to do that. We don't care whatever they are.
Mm-hmm.
You be on the team. They respect that.
Mm.
If you treat these kids and have in their lives, they will love you, Troy, forever. Mm-hmm. Whoever told you what you just told me, that guy should be fired immediately. He can't. Well, that's your fucking problem, man.
Yeah. You got to figure it out, don't you, Coach?
I would think so.
Yeah, or you're going to be gone. Yeah, so that's his problem. Yeah. I don't know if would a kid ever tell you that to your face? That you can't relate to me? Like, well, you either do it Aquinas' way or you're going to be gone.
Never. Troy, never. We've had a couple kids with one of our assistant guys that was cleaned up within a week. What are you talking about, man? What's wrong with this coach? Man, you guys sit down in this office, either fix it or both of the coach, you're fucking fired and you're thrown out of school.
Yeah. Wow. So you sit the coach, there's a coach and a player problem, an assistant coach and a player. You sit them both down and say, you either get it right or both of y'all are gone.
Well, no, but we bring them in there. We had a kid this year who was a great player. We had problems with him. We had all the coaches involved with him, and we can't figure this out. Please, you don't believe her. You don't. You got great guys trying to coach us. I'm not telling you that every one of them guys are great coaches, but they're great human beings.
Ooh.
So are you as a great human being too. You know, you go back about the history of that student, and boy, oh boy, flip back to the history of you. Mine, not a great history. Not. No, my dad died. I became a thug. He got arrested. I don't care about. I'm just telling you that. But somebody helped me. And that was my job when I took this job.
Yeah, so this was like your ministry, that someone helped you, so now you're going to help them. And
absolutely, that's our job.
That's our job as coaches. So, what would you, other than that, the high school coaches that are listening or they're going to listen to this, what else can you tell them, Coach? Like, you've won, I don't know how many games, over 500, Coach, a lot.
Yeah, so what?
Yeah, but what's important?
Make any difference? It does not make any difference. If any coaches are listening to this, take care what you want to see. What do you want to do? But just receive and under the act dues and take care of these kids. That's your freaking job. You might not pay very much, but I'm going to tell you, that's your job.
To take care of these kids.
Love them. Love them. Because they will love you down the road.
So Aquinas, I mean, I don't know if y'all still do, but at one time y'all had the most players in the NFL of any high school.
Yeah, we're still the same.
Wow. And it's built on, I mean, that the Aquinas program is built on what principles, Coach? What do y'all hang your hat on? Kids.
Players. Now, those players, we forgot. They're players. But guess what? They're kids. I don't care how they're good or bad. You have to love them, praise them, attack them, make them better people. And most of them are great people. And, we had a thing that had years ago. It was called 10%, 10%. Do you know what that means?
The 10% of the 10%? Yeah, I guess it has something to do with being elite.
10%, 90%, 10%.
90%, 10%. I would say that, I mean, if you're at Aquinas, you're probably of the 10%. You're of the elite. I mean, is that, am I on the right track?
Don't think so. I think everybody is on that. If you can get this, on your team, you have 90% people that go the hallway. They do everything they're supposed to do. No problem with them. But 10%, they're fuck-ups, but they're good kids. So you spend 90% of your life to helping the 10%. That's the 90%, 10%.
Yeah, because the 90% of the kids are going to make it. They don't need you. They're going to make it no matter what.
No, they're going to need us.
Yeah.
But the 10% goofballs, you're going to pull back from some of those other kids because you got the 10% goofballs.
Who, out of all the players that you coached, I mean, who's been the most successful? Not meaning that, like they went to the Hall of Fame, but somebody that you might have seen the biggest change in, like that you're proud of, maybe a guy that people don't know. Who, I mean, is there one that sticks out in your mind?
You know what? Of course, a lot of guys I'm very proud of Michael.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many guys out there. I mean, there's a lot of young guys right now that made into the deal. Stefan Humphreys, very proud of him. He went to Michigan. He owns a hospital. He's a dude. I think Dwan Russell, same. Also about Joe Castiglione. You know who he is?
I've heard of the name. I think Mike's maybe talked of him before, Coach. Who is he?
No, he's the AD at Oklahoma.
So the AD at Oklahoma is an Aquinas guy.
Yep. Yep.
And he played for y'all.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. And the other thing is, you can look at the horse race yesterday. What was that? Belmont?
Yes, sir.
The trainer is a St. Thomas graduate. First female ever to run that deal. Ananucci Kathy, I think it is. So, I mean, we go through all these things, and if you talk about just football, we have to talk about the school. Because the school, we have 2,000 in that place. And so I was interviewing a parent and a girl, and they were coming from a private, $55,000 deal. Whatever. I said, ma'am, I want to tell you something now. I've been here 52 years. I have never saw a fight in the hallway.
Wow.
Ever. Which is true. But now we've had in the football locker room. Yes. Saw those. I'm talking about the general students all over the place. And I think that happens with a lot of our kids transfer in, if they can be football players or whatever. We have kids that are upside down because their parents, which is the biggest deal. But that's our job. Make it work.
Amen. That's our job. Who are some of the college coaches that you've had to deal with, Coach, that kind of stick out, that you developed a relationship with? I mean, you've pretty much known them all, Coach, since the 70s. Who are some of the guys that stand out as special?
Well, I think that Woody.
Wow. Talk about him, Coach, because I'm a huge Woody Hayes fan.
Well, I was a student at Purdue. And I was selling programs. And we had Lafayette and West Lafayette and Central Catholic. We had 25 programs. And so if you sold those out, and we got on the sideline, and Ohio State was playing Purdue. And it's cold, it's snowing, and Woody is punting on third down. You hear all this stuff?
I mean, I know, we've quick kicked before on third down. I mean, because, some bad things can happen when you throw the ball on third down. So,
absolutely. So, Ohio State 10-7. So it's snowing, and there was a crossover to the. I wanted to go see what he's, say hi to him, get an autograph. He comes out. Everybody's in the two buses.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the only guy there. I say, Coach, hey, could I have your? Oh, absolutely. What's your name? You play football? Yes. The entire bus was there for 20 minutes, and it's snowing on him and me.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
Well, so that almost changed your life, meeting Coach Hayes like that.
Well, no, it's just like Shula and about Bo.
Yeah, talk about the Shulas, Coach. How important have they been to Aquinas and, Coach Shula's legacy? I mean, the winningest coach in NFL history.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, I had three of them. And Matt and Chris and Danny. So Mike was at Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Dave was at what was he? The Browns.
Yeah, Dave Shula was head coach of the Bengals, wasn't he, Coach?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So you had an NFL head coach that played for you. You had the coach of Alabama play for you. That's impressive, Coach.
No, they did not play for me.
Oh, they didn't play at Aquinas?
No, that's a whole different deal. So when Dave got fired, they moved those three kids down, and at that time, that the guy was at Alabama, right?
Yes, sir.
So I got three of their kids, and great kids, super kids. And Coach Shula was very, very hospitable. And to us, it was great. So,
yeah,
we
Coach.
have a picture in our weight room. We were trying to build this facility.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to think what it was. 2007. It was Mike Irvin, Chris Carter,
ooh,
and Coach Shula. And if the tickets, I can't remember what they were. They were pretty high. So when you walked in there, you had to shake hands with the three of these guys, and you get a football signed for them. And there's only, I think, 95 of those footballs. And they've been sold for a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a big picture of those guys in our fitness center. So.
Yeah, Coach, I'm gonna have to have you back on, Coach, because we can't talk about it all today. I mean, but Coach, I appreciate you coming on. I have another podcast coming up at 4, but is there anything else, Coach, that you would like to leave the coaches with? I mean, you've said some pretty important stuff. It's all about the kids, help them. But anything else, Coach, you want to say before we sign off?
No, coach them just like your kids. And you're going to be pissed at them, and you love them. Love your mom. See ya.
Amen. Thank you, Coach.
See you now.
I'll be in touch. Thank you.
All right, Troy.
Thank you, Coach. You're the best. Man. the legend, George Smith. Thank y'all. We're getting ready to do a wrestling podcast, the Squared Circle Maniacs. But thank y'all.